The following presentation has been rated restricted. It contains strong, graphic, brutal battle sequences and brief nudity. Stage 1. Demolition. Start with a clean slate. Hello friends and foes, I'm your contractor, Jazz Demon. I got no trades experience, but that's okay. I got YouTube videos. But I won't lie to you, after the demo, sitting and observing my empty kitchen, I started feeling stressed, perplexed, disoriented, and even a bit nauseated. I had a newborn son and family to support, and feeling challenged, I sat back, reflected, and realized this was just a matter of perspective. I had two options. I could admit defeat and pay someone to do all the work for me and enjoy my summer, or I could look at these obstacles as challenges. Challenges that would help me expand myself, becoming more creative and ultimately a better problem solver. As you can see, I chose the latter. So let's get started. Stage 2. Drywall. Fill in the gaps. Early on, I realized just how detailed this project was going to be. For each piece of drywall added, I had to add shims to the studs to make up for the difference between the old and the new drywall. My goal was to do as much myself as I could. This often involved finding creative solutions to problems all by myself. For every new wall I look at in the future, I'll pay my respects for the hard work involved in producing a smooth finish. Stage 3. Mudding. Fill in more gaps. Start by preparing the drywall compound. The task here was to put drywall compound coats one on top of the other with the ultimate goal of producing a smooth finish ready for sanding. This was by far the most frustrating, tedious, and time-consuming part of the whole renovation process for me. It just never seemed to end. I learned to treat this as a meditative process. Observing and reflecting on my impatience, ironically, I started to become more patient. It was also a great lesson in life. You're not going to enjoy everything you do. Sometimes you just got to calm your mind and persist. Took about 5 to 6 coats and meticulous attention to detail, but eventually I got there. At this point, with the final coat on, my arm sore and unable to grip the drywall tools, it was time to start the next stage, stage 4, installing the subfloor. I wanted a new kitchen, so what better way to start than from the ground up? I enjoyed this stage quite a bit, especially after all the tiring work involved with applying the drywall compound. I could see my results right away, and this was satisfying. It was a bit challenging fitting around the pipes and wires, but thankfully, due to my previous drywall work, I had acquired the patience of a saint, and this started becoming easy as apple pie. There's a famous saying that says the difference between something good and something great is the attention paid to detail. The detail I was striving for was a smooth, level floor. As a final touch, I scraped down and leveled any difference in depth between the plywood sheets, then added and sanded down compound to fill in these gaps. Now, back to the drywall. Stage 5, sanding. The goal here is to change the texture of the dried drywall compound in preparation for painting. There's absolutely nothing pretty about this task. It's generally agreed upon as being one of the worst jobs in construction. You're in a sealed room with copious amounts of drywall dust getting in every nook and cranny of your workspace and your body. Your reward after? You get to vacuum it all up. Thankfully, as humans, we're programmed to persist. That's how we find out who we are. I finally finished and got on to the next stage, painting. Now, I'll take a little break before getting on to the next stage, installing the floor. Enjoy my work alongside the following copyright ambient music. I'll be back to narrate in a couple minutes and tell you a story. I'm back! Now it's story time. Installing this floor was one day I'll never forget. I'd underestimated just how long it would take, and I had a deadline to have it installed before the following morning, as the cabinet installers were to arrive at 8 a.m. As my kitchen was progressing, I was feeling confident in my newfound role as a master do-it-all handyman. I'd purchased a chest full of tools, and they felt like just another extension of my body. Still working into the early hours of the morning, I was getting burned out, and this in turn had me working even slower. I felt stressed and discombobulated. Next thing I knew, it was 5 a.m. I did finally finish. It felt like I was back in university pulling an all-nighter. The cabinet guys arrived just as I finished installing the last couple of pieces. Sharing in the memory of this night with me was my tenant Ronaldo and his family visiting from Brazil, who had the pleasure of listening to this hammering all night long. They say life is about memories. I won't forget this night for a while, and neither will Ronaldo and his family. Sorry guys. I endured, and here we go. The cabinets were installed. I don't have a recording of the cabinets being installed, as I was asleep. Now, on to the next stage, finishing carpentry. This is one of the most overlooked and underappreciated steps in the Reno process. I believe that when someone judges the quality of your work, any work for that matter, they're doing a mental summary of all the proportion and details. Finishing carpentry is the final touch. Using proportion and detail, you bring all the doors, windows, and cabinets together, and this makes the house look good. This was also when I made one of the biggest mistakes in the renovation process. My newfound love for power tools had me purchase this pressurized nail gun. Excited to use this modern marvel of engineering, I skipped any planning I had to do to install the door casing and trim. The result? I forgot to leave a reveal gap of 1/4 inch between the door and the casing. I'd take it all off and start again. But there's something to be learned from your mistakes, and sometimes you gotta pay to learn. I paid with my time to learn a valuable lesson. Prepare in advance. As the saying goes, over-prepare, then go with the flow. On another note, the countertops arrived. I was getting excited. I could visualize the finished kitchen now. Speaking of errors, I realized my second biggest error. There were just too many mistakes in the drywall. Drywalling's an art, and I hadn't mastered it. I had to gain the courage to go back and redo it. I just kept thinking every time I'd be in my kitchen, I'd look at these errors. So it wasn't difficult to go back and redo it, but that doesn't mean I enjoyed it. The functional purpose of the backsplash is to protect the wall behind the sink against water damage. There's also an important aesthetic purpose. The backsplash will help bring the different elements of your kitchen together. The most important step in the tiling process was adding these spacers in between the tiles. This helped give the image of symmetry and proportion to your work. For me, tiling served as a summary of what trades was all about. Lots of repetitious tasks where you have to pay attention to the details. If you skimp on these details, you pay for it. On a slight divergence, never underestimate the power of beer in helping make straight, accurate cuts. Alcohol is a CNS depressant, and in the right dosage, it helps you keep calm, and this serves a functional purpose. Stage 11, finishing carpentry again. This was also the closest I got to getting a tan this summer. Like I said before, finishing carpentry will bring your house together. Learning from my previous error, this time, no detail was spared, and I was prepared. After adding all the casing and trim, all you have to do now is add caulking, followed by wood putty. You then clean it up and finally paint. I sped this up for the interest of time, but painting here along the kitchen trim will show you the patience required and the detail involved. Stage 12, installing the kitchen light. This was the final piece of the puzzle, and it served to encapsulate all of the summer's work. I had to get under the drywall and rewire the electrical box to be centered with a new island. I'd have to drill into the joists and mount the new electrical box. Finally, I'd have to install the new light and then ground the wiring. Doing all this just a few months ago would have been a daunting task, and I would have called an electrician. What I now reflected upon was how my perspective had shifted. I actually embraced installing this new light. I didn't see it as a challenge, but as an opportunity to problem solve and think creatively. And thanks to this, I got a new kitchen. Now here's a before and after.
I got my head checked by a jumbo jet. It wasn't easy, but nothing is. No. When I feel heavy metal, and I feel that I need when I lie and I'm easy all of the time, but I'm never sure why I need you. Please I need you. I got my head down. It's not my problem. It's not my problem. When I feel heavy metal, and I feel that I need when I lie and I'm easy.
Yeah! We did it! Thanks for watching. With the attention span of people nowadays, if you watched up until this point, you're someone important to us. So thank you. Why did I do it? I spent the majority... Whoa. No. So why did I do it? I spent the majority of the summer of 2019 renovating this kitchen, challenging myself with tasks that I've never attempted before, including the most difficult task I've ever done in my life, which was tying this bow tie for this film. No. On a serious note, why did I do it? The answer is simple: for happiness. As the saying goes, happiness doesn't come from doing easy work, but from the afterglow of satisfaction that comes after the achievement of a difficult task that demanded our best. It was this quote and this promise of happiness that I'm feeling now that kept me motivated each day. And for this, I left this message for my son in the subfloor as I was working away day after day. As the saying goes, eventually we all become our parents. What I found was that I was just becoming like my dad, my late father, working away late at night, pissing off the neighbors, making lots of noise, but with one goal in mind: to finish what you started and to get this feeling of satisfaction, of achievement once you're done. So working late at night, often with his tools, I became just like my dad. So again, thanks for watching, and here's a list of all the people I want to thank in particular who helped me some way along in the process. We did it! Thank you. A moment of truth. It comes from the afterglow of satisfaction that comes from the achievement. Hey buddy, hey buddy. As the saying goes, as the saying goes,